Disclaimer, this show is for educational purposes only and is not an alternative for clinical counseling. Please seek a mental health professional for your specific needs.
Welcome to Intake Talk Show, where it's time to shine the light from a mental health perspective. This is segment 2 on a discussion of burnout. So let's start the show now.
Welcome back to Intake Talk Show with your host, Bertha F. Barrett, licensed mental health counselor. Today's guest is licensed clinical social worker, Amanda Baker. Today's topic is all about burnout. Your Intake podcast starts now.
Welcome back. Today, I have with me Miss Amanda Baker. And we have been having an amazing conversation regarding burnout. And we left off talking about this powerful idea of numbers, how we often, become stressed around the numbers. And we were talking about it because Amanda said it. She said, if we walk out, throughout the day and only 2 people like what we do, that's powerful. And I mentioned this idea of imagine having 300 subscribers, 300 followers on social media. If those 300 people came in a room to hear you talk, how powerful that is. And Amanda was talking to me about that. I'm going to tell you all something. This is amazing because we need to have more conversations like this, authentic conversations like this, so people can understand the significance of burnout, anxiety, all of the things that we experience as human beings. So Amanda, thank you again for being here. I love it.
Thank you. I'm just excited to continue the conversation. I felt like it went in such a really powerful, necessary direction, and I just fully trust what's coming up and what we're talking about.
Yes. And so let's continue with the questions because we left off with this correlation with anxiety and depression and how to listen to the body, okay? So I want you to talk about specific myths around burnout and what we need to do to, destroy this idea of what burnout looks like, regardless of race or culture, because there are a lot of myths around burnout. You can say, and I think there are myths because we use terminology so loosely. I'm just so burnt out. It really, and not understanding what burnout looks like. And so when someone is really burnt out culturally, I know too, coming from this beautiful African descendant culture, sometimes, when you say, I'm just burnt out right now, I can't. And you really mean like, I really can't. We're taught to know you have to. You got to keep pushing, right? You just got to move, beyond that. You just got to keep going. And that's not always good. Trust me, I've tried it. It's not always good. So let's talk about that.
I agree, and I've lived it, and as you've shared too, maybe we have just in different ways in kind of living through the burnout and a response that I've received. And I used to work at an outpatient mental health clinic, so when they're run by the state, there's less flexibility, there's a lot more requirements. And I was expressing to my superiors to share with them, hey, I'm burnt out. I'm feeling really exhausted. I'm feeling more irritable. I'm making more mistakes in my job. I'm having more migraine headaches. I'm having more like stomach aches and indigestion and digestive issues. And yes, those are things for me to attend to, but I felt like I needed that support of just others kind of knowing where I was so that when I was showing up to work with my clients, to feel cared for, to feel taken care of, that I'm not going to provide the best service for people if I'm in this state. And I didn't know what I know now really about burnout and what's needed. And a lot of the feedback or responses I was getting from the people I work with was, that's just how it is. This is just how the system is. So you got to keep pushing through it. Or I got, okay, then go take care of yourself. Like, okay, do you need a day off? Go take a day off. But that day off didn't make a difference because I was coming right back into the same the same work dynamics, but also really what it was something within myself, that the way that the organization was run just did not fit with the way that I work best. And so that led me to eventually leaving that position so that I could create a work life that supported me and my unique ways of
Mhm.
working. Because it's not that I didn't care, it's not that I don't want to work hard or work well, but that work structure just didn't work for me. And if I spent all the time being mad at them, yes, it would have been nice if they could have provided some additional support. But if I focused on blaming them and that it's their fault or it's the system's fault, I think in a lot of ways our systems does have a lot of needs and things to be
Okay.
changed, but I can't control all of that. I can only
Mhm.
control me and the way that I show up and the message that I'm sending in hopes that it creates some impact so that more people can start to choose themselves and create a work life that does work for them, that's sustainable for them, that can have an impact in the greater way.
Oh, okay, Amanda. Since we're on this subject, right? As therapists, right? Because I think we need to talk about too that we missed that domain. We missed several domains, to be honest. But as therapists, okay? Because I recently read I don't know, it was something on somebody's feed and these therapists were talking. And therapists are now saying, you know what, I can't do this anymore. I've decided to go back into corporate America and, just work full time there and do part time therapy because I'm getting burnt out. It's too
Hmm.
much, right?
Hmm.
It's too much. How do therapists ensure that they're not burnt out? One, because first of all, because I do remember working into community health, right? And in community health, it's about numbers. All right.
Yep.
Because when I worked in community health, I had independently, I had about 106 clients, right? That's a lot of clients,
That's a lot of clients.
right?
Yes.
Um, and we're talking about seeing the clients, all the paperwork, peer review, audits that you have to do, all of
Hmm.
that. And so it was beginning to become, very stressful. And I just felt burnt out. And I remember my mentor saying, well, baby, you're just paying your dues right now,
Hmm.
right? You got to pay your
Hmm.
dues.
You got to do
This
it.
is what you have to do. And I kept thinking to myself, no, but we're in the field of mental health. How do you ensure that you don't do that in the field of mental health? We're in the helping field.
Yep.
But here we are feeling burnt out. Can I say physicians do it too?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. For sure.
But physicians become burnt out. I know my youngest is a physician. Physicians become burnt out too, but they feel like they have to keep going. They have to keep going. And so I think it's imperative that we talk about what burnout looks like in the helping field and how we can prevent this as these people who came into the field because we care. And yes, we
Hmm.
want to help people, but then again, we don't want to burn out because if we burn out, how are we really helping anybody?
How are we helping people? Yes. And so two things, because I want to go back to the question before about the myth, because I know I didn't fully get into the myths. And I think what I spoke to is that one of the myths is that we kind of spoke to this at the beginning, that the myth is that burnout's just your job, or the
Yeah.
myth that burnout is the work environment that you're in, right?
Hmm.
So, yes, that structure can lead to burnout, but it's not just that structure. Like, you, as an autonomous being, have a say. So,
Yes.
you might want the system to be different or the structure of the job and the responsibilities to be different. But the burnout also comes, I think, from that that and I noticed myself wanting to say like smallness in self, right? Like
Yeah.
you said, you're paying your dues, right? Like
Hmm.
you're maybe new to the field, you just graduated and you have to pay your dues. I feel like that diminishes people who are
Hmm.
just recently licensed or brand new in their job, that they're not worthy.
Yeah.
Well, I'm
Yeah.
not worthy yet until I earn it. I got to work these many years first, pay my dues, and then I'll get the relaxation and the restoration and the rewards. And a big piece of burnout is a sense of unworthiness. That burnout can stem from not believing in yourself, not trusting yourself, not feeling like you're worthy in the job that you're in because maybe it's new, or you might have an embedded belief of just not being good enough. It's not enough, so I need to do more.
Mm-hmm.
And so even in the mental health field, it's setting that example of having time that you devote to, whether people who are listening, if you're therapists or if you're physicians or really anybody,
Mm-hmm.
to taking a break during
Mm-hmm.
your day. I remember early on with seeing 10 clients in a day, working at a school, eating my lunch with the client because I didn't get a break. I needed to see 10 in the school hours, and there's only 6 hours. How do you see 10 clients in 6 hours? And so it's like, I'm going to eat my lunch with these kids, or I'm going to wait to go to the bathroom until the day is done. And then you're not listening to your body that sends you the cues for those basic needs of you're hungry, you need
Mm-hmm.
to go to the bathroom, you're tired, you need to pause and breathe.
Mm-hmm.
So even if you're in a job that you feel like you need to remain in, that you create these things for yourself that support your mental health. It's
Mm-hmm.
starting the day with a meditation. So I think we set the example for everyone else that when I work with people, I tell them, I'm not going to suggest something to you if I haven't done it myself.
Right.
So I'm not going to tell a client, hey, maybe try meditation if I'm not meditating,
Right.
as an example. Yeah.
I love it. I love it. And I think I know for a fact it is imperative that you advocate for yourself. Um, because even in community health, as therapists, we had to advocate for having a half a day on Friday just to get caught up with all the paperwork that was required so that we didn't have to feel like we had to continue to see clients on top of all the paperwork and be
Hmm.
behind, okay, with audits and all of that. But
Hmm.
even for those in private practice, I usually suggest, and I'll tell any therapist, you don't have to see clients. Because I think this is what happens when we're in these practicums, internships, we see clients back to back, and we think we have to keep doing that. It's just the way these beautiful brains of our hours of work.
Yeah.
We get conditioned, and we got to see them back to back. No, it's okay to take a 15, 10-minute break in between clients. I do it all the time, right? I purposely take a 15-minute break in between each client that I see. That gives me time, for one,
Hmm.
because I see most of my clients virtually. That gives me time to get up, move my body, walk
Hmm.
around, go outside, sit and get some sun, just, woosah if I need to, all of those things. It's important that you self-advocate.
Yes.
Because that's what helps you. And that's just not as therapists, that's as physicians,
Hmm.
anybody in these helping fields. That is so key. You have to self-advocate because if you don't, when you get to that space of burnout, unfortunately, and I've been there, sometimes the thing that you love, in return, you start to resent it and go,
Yeah.
I don't want to do this anymore.
Uh-huh. Yes. Oh, for sure. And that's, I think, why so many people end up leaving the field, or it becomes this revolving door of staying at one place for a few years and then moving
Mhm.
to another and then moving to another. But wherever you go, there you are. If you're not making those changes within yourself and self advocating by putting some of these things into place for you, uh,
Yeah.
then it's just going to follow you, and you're going to find the same kind of patterns, the same feelings and experiences of burnout, wherever you go. I think even in private practice, like you said, the beautiful brain of ours that's like, oh, well, I'm in private practice, but I still need to see people back to back.
Mhm.
It's like, well, no, you now have a lot more autonomy. Give yourself the 15-minute breaks, or say, I'm not going to see anybody after 4 p.m. And
Right.
don't violate your own boundary.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I love that. I love that. We can stay on this topic for a while, because I see people, becoming burnt out. And I'm discouraged when I see health professionals communicate, because I know that they love what they do. and they're communicating that this is just becoming too much. And so I'm like, okay, you know, if everybody stops, right? Where's the help? Can we
Where's
just,
the help?
you know,
Yeah. Right. We need it. We need to be fueled to offer that help for others. So and as you say this, I notice another myth I want to
Mhm,
put in there, that burnout isn't bad. I think there's a
mhm.
myth that thinking that burnout is bad. So I
Yeah.
really want to make that clear in this conversation, that we're also saying that burnout again is that like catalyst for the change to
Yes.
come closer and to connect more with yourself.
Mhm. I love that. Oh, yeah. Burnout isn't bad. Let's
Mhm.
remember that. You have to listen to your body because that's it. That's your body saying, hey, slow down, stop, right? And we have to listen to our bodies. I love that. And as a yoga instructor, I'm sure you know we have to listen
Yes.
to our body.
Yes.
Indeed, indeed. So, do you think burnout shows up differently across genders?
Oh, that's a great question. Um, it probably does. I would
Hmm.
say women more now, and this again, probably my own personal bias
Hmm.
of women more now than previously are working more than they were. More women are working, and so I think that the rate of burnout has increased for women because of some of the various roles that they're taking on, whether it's being a parent, planning and doing things at home, trying to maybe even, I want to say, like equate themselves to
Hmm.
men because of just that discrepancy that's there, that there might be more of this sense of like force of I got to be better, I got to be stronger, I
Hmm.
got to achieve more, I got to be more successful. That might lead for more women to be burnt out, but I don't know those numbers per se. But
Right.
I'm wondering too if my own bias in this is from a sense that women, in my experience with the clients that I work with too, show it more than men,
Hmm.
because men want to also appear as tough and
Yeah.
not weak, as capable and as strong, that they might men might internalize more of their burnout. They might hide it, but they might be experiencing a lot of the same things, but not
Hmm.
necessarily articulating it.
Hmm.
I will say that for some male to experience anxiety, they might not know that it's anxiety. It might be a faster heart rate for them. It might be a change in their breathing. It might
Hmm.
be muscles tightening, and they might end up with high blood pressure.
Right.
And they're going to medical doctors, not really realizing that it's more of a mental health signal.
Mm, mm. So one thing I know is that often men who are burnt out, they become more irritable. They're angry,
Mhm,
right?
mhm.
And they express that anger. It's like they're angry all the time. Everything makes them angry. And that also can be a sign of burnout. Okay. Because we do know that men, when they're depressed, that's one of the signs too. They become very angry. Because depression in men look differently. And so I asked that
Yes,
question because it can show up gender wise differently.
yes.
And it shows up that way because again, you mentioned it, earlier, that we have these traditional roles around gender.
Mhm.
And so men are, taught to be this idea of what masculinity looks like, we have to get everything done, get fixed, all of this. And so because of that, oftentimes that does make men a lot angrier. They become so angry, frustrated about everything because they have to hold everything up, in this space of being a man, right? And not just being
Yes.
human, but a man.
Right. Right. Well, and I think to that too, that many men again, just going back to
Mhm.
the stereotypes and what gets conditioned and ingrained, also place that pressure on themselves that they need to be the provider. So
Right.
they might often take on things that might not be as fulfilling for them because they're focused on more of the survival mechanisms and the providing role of I'm going to do this because that's how I provide for myself
Mhm.
or for my family. I might take this promotion or I might stay in this job and have maybe less of the authentic kind of choice of what they're passionate about. I'm
Mm.
hearing more and more women who want to get involved in things that they're passionate about. And I also want to speak that to men as well of when you envision yourself, whether it's a job or whether it's how you spend your free time, are you devoting yourself to those things or do you feel obligated to stay in a role or in a job or in the choices that you make more so from that kind of I need to provide, I need to be strong, I need to do.
I love that. Okay. All right. For time's sake, because I want to ask you so many questions, right? When I said we missed some domains, and I welcome you to come back to the show. I
Thank you.
think I said this to you before. I love authentic conversations, and I don't stray away from anything. Okay. And I think it is important for us to come together, specifically as professionals. You are a European American. I
Hmm.
am an African American. And
Hmm.
I think because of this dynamic that we've created, mostly in Western society, we can talk about burnout and all of these different things from a different aspect. And that is as a European woman, as an African American woman.
Hmm.
And so I want to welcome you back so we can have more conversations like this because I think
Yeah.
that's the domain we didn't look at because there
True.
is some burnout across race too. Can we talk about that? There is some burnout across race. And I think we need to have these conversations. And when I say have them as professionals, because we're open enough to have them without offense, right?
Yeah.
You have to
Yeah.
have that mindset without offense and still be honest and open because we live in a world where we have these things occurring and we don't talk about them enough. And because we don't talk about them, everybody is kind of holding their own space. Like we just have to keep this to ourselves. But
Yeah.
really, in that keeping it to the self within this race, this culture, whatever, that and too can create a space of burnout.
Oh,
Okay.
for real, just holding it in. Yes.
Mhm.
Yes. And so to touch on that briefly, if I go back to some of burnout being related more at its core to a sense of unworthiness, that
Mm.
I'm not worthy to set my boundaries. I'm not worthy to choose to engage in what I love and what I'm passionate about, whether that's even in a job or just your day-to-day life. And for your different experience from your race,
Yes.
you were born with a less sense of worthiness naturally. Just by being born, you are already on that like hierarchy of being less worthy than me.
Mhm.
And so I fully can't even imagine if I struggle too of feeling like I need to earn, I need to strive and achieve to have a fulfilling life versus
Mhm.
just I'm just worthy of it because I exist. I can't empathize fully and relate to what that must be like for African Americans to be born and that's just already there.
Right, right. And to
Um,
just kind of piggyback just a little bit, because I
yeah.
have these two beautiful grandbabies, right? And and I watch them. When they come into the earth, they know nothing about race. They know nothing about any of this stuff. All they know is that they can conquer the world. And they're in that egocentric phase where the world revolves around them and all they have to do is cry and everybody gonna run to them.
Oh,
Right? So because of the conditionings, and
yeah.
that's what we need to talk about. Because of the conditionings, we have to teach them how to be safe in their own space.
Mhm.
Okay. And that's what I mean. And that can be burnt out. That can create a burnout. We have to teach them as they grow. Be careful not to do this. Be careful not to do that. You don't want to be seen this way, all of that. And that can be difficult because we're trying to break away from conditions.
Right.
This is what gentle parenting is about. But still, we have to keep it just enough to teach them how to survive in a world that unfortunately
Mhm.
unfortunately can only see white, black,
Right.
you
Yep.
know?
Yes.
And that in itself is so difficult. I just recently talked to another therapist in Barbados, and she and I was talking about these biases, right?
Hmm.
European American. And when I said to her, we were talking, and I said, I just need to confess that, you know, just sitting here talking to you, there was a time in my life when I had to approach, people that look like her a certain way. You know, as 57 now, can I just be honest with you? As
Yeah.
57, I'm so happy with me. I'm just like, okay, you either take me or you don't.
And that's amazing. It is beautiful and
Yes,
amazing. Yes.
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 But I have to say that to her because I felt like, normally when I was approaching European American women, males, whatever, I had to put on a facade, right?
Uh-huh.
And if something was said to me and I disagreed with it, just my idea of trying to defend myself,
Oh,
I was
yes.
judged again, right? And so it kind of made me just kind of shut up. You're like, okay, you don't want to do this because you don't want to be seen as the angry Black woman, the, aggressive African American woman. And when I said that to her, she said, oh my God, Bertha, thank you for saying that to me
Yes.
because you don't know how much that helps me. And that's what I mean. Having conversations like that
Yes. That are
so
just
that people
real and
can feel,
vulnerable.
yes,
Hmm.
they can feel normal,
Yeah.
right? And we shouldn't have to wait till we get 57 to say,
To
you
feel
know what,
comfortable
it's
doing
okay.
that. Yeah. Yes. To be able to express, to allow your insides to become your outside.
Right.
Yes, just so that you can be seen in your humanness, but also heard for the differences of what
Yes.
you probably go through
Mm-hmm.
mentally that needed to be conditioned that way for your
Mm-hmm.
safety, but also as you get older, what you can start to change because you're at the point where I don't need to over explain and defend myself anymore. I'm
Yes.
okay and I trust and I
Right.
feel safe.
Yes. Yes. I love it. Yes, Amanda, you have to come back. We have to talk about this. I love these passionate conversations. I really do. But I want to talk a little bit more, first of all, about your yoga, but let's just talk about what does healing from burnt out really look like? What can people do? And we're just not talking about going to the spa, vacation. What does that look like, healing from burnout?
Yes. Yeah. And I touched on this slightly earlier, and you did too, like taking a break.
Mm-hmm.
I will say in these small ways is pausing to listen and check in with yourself. That when there is a signal inside, it could be that like burst of anxiety, it could be that you're getting a headache or something and your heart rate's changing. That before you take action, before you make a decision, that you pause, that you slow down
Mm-hmm.
so that you can really listen to what's going on. And that's where I say the signals come from your body, the sensations
Yes.
and the emotions. And the use of your breath can be one way to slow down, taking some deep inhalations and exhalations so that you're not running on that autopilot because we're just going, going, going. And so that's the start.
Yes.
But it's a lifelong process, and it can take a lot of self inquiry or working with a therapist or engaging in some of the things that you enjoy and that you love.
Mm-hmm.
But often, sometimes resting can feel
Mm-hmm.
uncomfortable for people.
Mm-hmm.
Resting can be anxiety provoking for people.
Yes.
And so you have to start to practice doing that to send new signals to your nervous system that it's okay to rest.
Yes. And what you said is it's a lifelong practice. And again, I think because of the way we're conditioned, it becomes a lifelong practice
Yeah.
because we have these deeply rooted beliefs around what it is to navigate life in this gender, whatever, where you're working, all of these concepts that we have around how we should navigate, this space around us. And so, and nobody ever teaches us that.
Mhm.
I always tell people, as human beings, specifically as women, and I don't know because I'm a woman, I've never been a man, right?
Right.
Specifically as women, we're taught
Right.
how to be nurturing. Okay. People say we're innately nurturing. I disagree. We're taught how to be nurturing. Okay. And because we're taught how to be nurturing to others, never ourselves, until when it comes to nurturing yourself, resting, as you say, it
Yes.
can be a conflict within yourself because now you're feeling lazy, you're feeling like you're not being productive.
Yeah.
It's like want to keep moving forward, or I just feel weak. Because I hear that a lot of times. Well, I just feel so weak. I should be able to do more. I shouldn't be feeling this way. And I'm like, no, it's not weakness. It takes strength. Can we say that? It
Right.
takes
Yes.
a lot of strength to just stand in yourself, listen to who you are, and learn how to take care of you.
Yes.
That takes strength.
Yes, it does. That's exactly what I say. That your
Yes.
softness is your strength, the
Mm,
gentleness. I offer a lot of restorative, gentle yoga, which was not my original practice. I was power, move, move. And now I love the slowing down and being in more of those restorative postures and holding them for longer,
mm,
because it's a practice where you're showing yourself that this is the strength to stay with your body, to stay in stillness, and to have an awareness of your experience in that.
I love it. I love it. Since you mentioned yoga, let's talk about that. Because you said, I read your bio and you are yoga, is it yoga psychology? Is
Yoga
that,
psychology. Yes. So I
talk to
have,
me about that. Yeah.
of course, I have a 300-hour training in yoga psychology, was under Ashley Turner. She's out in California. But I really took from that training and adapted and created my own model of what I call therapeutic yoga. And it's utilizing the yoga, the philosophy behind mindfulness and breath work and awareness and presence and safety through the connection with your body. That I say the yoga moves through you, and by opening yourself up to various postures that I facilitate one-on-one with people as well as with groups and classes, to come back to being able to listen to yourself. And I
Hmm.
sometimes say I show you how to feel safely. Many people struggle with being with their emotions, and a lot of our coping mechanisms are actually relieving feelings as opposed to connecting with feelings and communicating with those emotions in yourself so that you can gain their wisdom. Because like I said before, I view them as messengers that are telling you something, telling you if you're burnt out, and then offering what to do in response to that for yourself.
Yes. Yes. I love that. I love that. Okay, so yes, we need you to come back. We need to have more conversations about that. This is what intake is about. I created this space so that professionals can come together and have talks, real, authentic talks about absolutely everything that we intake. Okay? Psychologically, physiologically, and how it impacts us. Because changing the message is the key, because we have been taught that mental is separate from physical. And so, I'm telling you, and people say it that way, as if we can just chop off, the top half here and walk around with just the bottom,
Uh,
Um,
uh,
but it's about overall wellness
yeah,
and seeing that, we have to take care of our overall wellness and understanding how mental impacts physical, physical impacts mental. And if we can start there and really talk about these experiences, because that's what it is. Who
mhm.
we are, how we navigate life, our perceptions, our view of the world come from these experiences, these conditions, learned behavior. And this is what intake is about, to bring professionals like you, lovely professionals like you who are willing to have the conversations. I love it.
Yes.
In a space that we can all come together and just talk. So thank you so much for being here.
You're welcome. I love having the conversations and opening up the insights for others to
Mhm.
spread these messages. That's the real purpose, not so much as to whether someone wants to work with me. If you do, that's amazing, but really to be able to speak and connect in this way. So thank you, Bertha.
Thank you. Before we go, because you do this yoga and so many wonderful things, I want you to give the viewers and listeners your website information. Let them know how to find you, because maybe somebody's listening and saying, hey, how do I find her? How do I get her to help me with this yoga psychology? You know, tell the people how they can find you.
Yeah, thank you. So with being a poet and a writer, everything's on my website. It's Amanda Baker Writes. So that's WRTES, Amanda Baker, and then WRITES.com. And access to my online community. So I have a group and community. We heal through these experiences together. So we meet on Zoom, or if you're local to the Baltimore area, so, we can meet in person. I offer one-on-one. All that information is in one place on that website. My books, where I teach yoga. So that would be the best place to go.
Okay, all right. And listen, if you didn't get all of that, go to the website, intake.com, intaketalkshow.com. Her information will be right there. I am not a gatekeeper. I
Thank you.
believe that we're better together. I live by that principle. We are better together. So if you didn't get that information, we're going to have Amanda's information on the website. You can go there, click on her website, and find her, support what she does. Let her help you. You can see she's a beautiful being and she's willing to help. But until next week, as we always return, we're always coming back with more conversations. I want you to remember to continue to talk about mental health and how to make yours a priority. You have a great one. If you are a professional or someone with a story and would like to be a guest on the show, go to our website, intaketalkshow.com, and complete the form to be a guest. Perhaps you are someone with a question or comment that you would like addressed on the show. Again, go to our website, intaketalkshow.com, and complete the contact form. I hope to see you soon. And remember to continue to talk about mental health and how to make yours a priority.
This wraps up our conversation with Amanda Baker. Did you enjoy this episode? We'd love to hear from you. Drop your comments, questions, and reflections on our YouTube channel, Facebook page, or any podcast platform you listen from. Make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel so you never miss an episode. Join us next week as we speak to two professionals about the term sweeping it under the rug and how it can affect our mental health. Thank you for watching.